A violent system of severe thunderstorms ripped through the New York metropolitan area on Wednesday evening, May 20th, 2026, unleashing torrential downpours, damaging wind gusts, and localized hail. The sudden weather onslaught triggered widespread flash flooding across all 5 boroughs, paralyzing the city's aging transit infrastructure, submerging major vehicular highways, and knocking down trees. The disaster struck just hours after the city was grappling with a dangerous early-season heat wave. A stark cold front moving at approximately 30 miles per hour collided with the dense, humid air mass over the tri-state area, creating a highly volatile atmospheric environment. According to the National Weather Service, NWS, and regional Mesonet data, the resulting storm cells dumped roughly 2 inches of water in under an hour, completely overwhelming municipal catch basins and drainage networks. The roots of Wednesday night's flash flood trace back to an intense, multi-day heat dome that broke records across the Northeast. On Tuesday, May 19th, and throughout the day on Wednesday, May 20th, New York City operated under an official heat emergency plan activated by the mayor's office. Temperatures in northern Manhattan, the Bronx, and parts of Staten Island soared past 96 degrees Fahrenheit, flirting with historic maximums. The high humidity pushed heat index values to oppressive levels, forcing the city to open cooling centers and expand outreach to vulnerable populations. However, the extreme warmth primed the atmosphere for a rapid and violent transition. By late Wednesday afternoon, a powerful cold front pushed into the region from the west. As the front advanced, it squeezed the moisture-laden tropical air upwards, building massive convective storm towers. Dramatic low-hanging shelf clouds loomed over the Manhattan skyline around 5 p.m., captured in numerous photos and videos by anxious commuters heading toward the evening rush hour. By 6 p.m., the NWS issued an urgent, severe thunderstorm warning and a blanket flash flood warning for Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and surrounding counties. Forecasters warned of wind gusts reaching up to 60 miles per hour and the potential for penny-sized hail. The primary threat, however, proved to be the sheer volume of water. The storm cells trained directly over the urban core, dropping immense sheets of rain at an unsustainable rate. Rather than absorbing into the ground, the rainfall hit thousands of acres of concrete and asphalt, transforming streets into active water channels within a matter of minutes. Queens bore the brunt of the street-level flash flooding. The combination of low-lying topography and overtaxed combined sewer systems led to immediate ponding. In Bayside, residential streets were transformed into rushing rivers. Rapidly rising waters trapped multiple passenger vehicles along local thoroughfares, forcing drivers to abandon their cars or wait for emergency assistance. Further south, Jamaica experienced extreme infrastructure failure. Verified video footage captured severe flooding at 100-32 204th Street, where water rose above the hoods of parked sedans. Neighborhood activists in Rosedale also documented extensive flooding, pointing to clogged storm drains as a primary factor accelerating the crisis. The Outer Borough Highway network gridlocked rapidly. The Long Island Expressway, LIE, suffered massive water pooling near Springfield Boulevard. With visibility near zero and water deep enough to stall engines, law enforcement officers were forced to close the LIE in both directions during the peak of the evening commute. In Brooklyn, the storm manifested as a dual threat of high winds and rapid water accumulation. Powerful wind gusts tore through the borough's mature tree canopy. On Kings Highway, a massive tree was uprooted, crashing down into the roadway at the intersection of 501 Kings Highway. The fallen trunk completely blocked all lanes of traffic and brought down utility lines, creating an immediate hazard for emergency responders. Street-level flooding was particularly severe in historic neighborhoods like Bushwick and Bay Ridge. Along Fifth Avenue in Brooklyn, intersections filled with murky water, spilling over the curbs and threatening local storefronts. Store owners rushed to clear detritus and debris from sewer grates using makeshift tools, a scene reminiscent of past extreme weather events. While Manhattan saw slightly lower total accumulations than Queens, its highly localized urban valleys filled quickly. Traffic along the FDR Drive hit a standstill at several points as ponding narrowed usable lanes. On Staten Island, heavy rain combined with high wind gusts caused minor structural damage to commercial awnings and triggered isolated power outages as tree branches clipped localized overhead lines. New York City's century-old subway system faced a catastrophic test as stormwater cascaded down stairwells, through ventilation grates, and onto active tracks. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority, MTA, scrambled emergency pump trains and maintenance crews to mitigate water ingress, but the sheer volume of the downpour outpaced the mechanical drainage capabilities of several high-traffic stations. Heavily impacted by water pouring in from street level, the F-line was partially suspended across segments of its route, leaving thousands of outer borough commuters stranded. The E-line suffered severe delays as track water built up in subterranean corridors, forcing trains to operate at highly restricted speeds for safety. Commuters encountered sweeping delays across the lettered lines due to signal malfunctions caused by water contact and electrical short circuits. At the 42 Street Bryant Park station in Midtown Manhattan, eyewitness videos uploaded to social media platforms showed water gushing violently onto platforms and down staircases, turning transit hubs into subterranean waterfalls. Commuters were forced to navigate through ankle-deep water just to exit the turnstiles. While the MTA managed to keep trains moving on select lines, the evening rush hour was largely defined by cancellations, massive crowding, and extreme travel delays. New York City Emergency Management, NYCEM, went into high alert as the scope of the flooding became clear. Officials actively utilized the Notify NYC system to broadcast life safety alerts in multiple languages, urging residents to stay indoors and avoid traveling unless absolutely necessary. A significant focus of the emergency response was directed toward life safety in below-grade structures. Following tragic precedents from previous severe storms, city officials issued targeted warnings to residents occupying basement apartments. Because basements flood first in dense urban environments, occupants were instructed to maintain clear exit paths and prepare to evacuate to higher ground the moment water began accumulating on the streets. The New York City Fire Department, FDNY, and New York Police Department, NYPD, deployed specialized swift water rescue units to assist motorists trapped in deep roadway pools. Field teams worked in tandem with the Department of Environmental Protection, DEP, to manually clear debris, trash, and silt that had been washed over storm grates, which allowed trapped water to finally drain back into the municipal system. Wednesday's storm highlights a growing public health and infrastructure crisis facing the nation's most populous city. Recent environmental studies warn that sea level rise, urban land subsidence, and an escalation in extreme precipitation events have left New York exceptionally exposed to severe flooding. With nearly half of its buildings and over 4 million residents living in areas vulnerable to extreme weather impacts, the city's infrastructure is increasingly fighting a losing battle against changing climate baselines. The rapid transition from a 97-degree heat wave to a torrential, infrastructure-disrupting flash flood within a 24-hour window exemplifies the weather whiplash that climatologists predict will become more frequent. As the atmosphere warms, its capacity to hold water increases, meaning that when storms do trigger, they release significantly more water in shorter durations than municipal drain pipes were originally engineered to handle. While the city has initiated long-term adaptation strategies, such as the expansion of the urban forest plan to increase natural absorption and the deployment of localized floodnet sensors, the reality on the ground shows that immediate, large-scale capital investments are required to safeguard the daily functionality of the transit and roadway networks. As of Thursday, May 21st, 2026, the severe thunderstorms have fully moved offshore, leaving behind a dramatically altered weather pattern. The cold front successfully broke the heat wave, bringing a sharp 30-degree temperature drop. Temperatures have plummeted to a cool 66 degrees Fahrenheit, and forecasters predict a chilly, damp trend heading into the upcoming Memorial Day weekend. MTA cleanup crews worked through the night using high-powered pumps to clear remaining track water, allowing most subway lines to resume near-normal operations for the Thursday morning commute, though residual delays persist on the F line. City workers continue to clear fallen trees from Brooklyn roadways and inspect compromised retaining walls. Municipal authorities urge all New Yorkers to remain vigilant, keep an eye on localized pooling, and report any ongoing street infrastructure damage by contacting the city's official services via NYC 311. Meanwhile, on Hempstead Avenue in Queens Village, a bus drove through several inches of water. In Fresh Meadows, one driver said his detour turned into a nightmare. "Ended up in this swimming pool over here, so this is a bad situation," he said. "I don't know what is going to happen with my car." Over on Cooper Avenue near 78th Street, police taped off an underpass where two vehicles were trapped under several feet of water. In a neighborhood near the Forest Park golf course, residents say their street became flooded in a matter of minutes. "It was violent and it was very, very fast," Queens resident Christina Maloon said. "The van almost floated away. It was like nuts." Sonia Maloon says PS 87 canceled volleyball practice due to flooding at her school gym. "The water was up to my ankle, and then when a lady came and opened it, the security desk was like flooding," she said. "I came out. There was water too high for me to even open the doors on the car," Queens resident Joe Conti said. The Long Island Expressway was closed in both directions at the Cross Island Parkway in Queens late Wednesday due to flooding. The storm also knocked down trees from Gravesend, Brooklyn, to Ozone Park, Queens, where a car was damaged. Cleanup is now underway as residents try to wash away the mud covering their streets. "I think if we would have gotten rain for a few more minutes, we would have been in big trouble," Christina Maloon said. In parts of New Jersey, the storm knocked down trees and power lines.